Archangel Michael says, Satan demanded your name in a spiritual trade. You have only 45 seconds to cancel it. Open immediately. This message was delivered at the 11th hour, a warning echoing through the unseen realm. It did not come in haste, nor by coincidence, but by divine dispatch. Heaven stirred, and the courts of the Spirit paused, for your name was mentioned in a place it should not have been. And now, at this sacred intersection of time and eternity, I, Michael, the Archangel of War, the guardian of kingdom identity, have been sent to speak. I do not speak often, but when I do, it is because an urgent matter is unfolding beyond what human eyes can see and human minds can interpret. You have exactly 45 seconds, not according to man's ticking clock, but by heaven's standard, where moments move like rivers and decisions echo through generations. These are not seconds on a watch. These are seconds of the Spirit, where what you choose in stillness will shift everything. For Satan has risen again to accuse, but this time he did not ask for your soul. He demanded something more precise, more dangerous. He demanded your name. Yes, your name, your identity, your divine placement in the scroll of destiny. The enemy did not request ownership, he requested access. Not to steal your salvation, but to reroute your assignment. He wanted to speak your name in the courts of darkness, attempting a spiritual trade, to hand your divine signature over in exchange for confusion, delay, and detour. Your name was being used like currency in a demonic economy. But hear this clearly. This message is not for everyone. This warning is marked only for those whose spirit has been unsettled, whose nights have been pierced by silent wars, whose dreams carry residue of warfare, courts, voices, and accusations they cannot explain. If your soul has stirred, if you have felt a pressing without language, a heaviness without cause, you are the one the enemy sought, the one heaven has sealed, the one now standing at the crossroads of reversal. Heaven does not require panic. It requires obedience. It requires silence, stillness, and surrender. For what you do in this moment, your posture, your pause, becomes your protection. This is not a time to speak wildly, but to let your stillness be your agreement with the courts of heaven. Something have been written, but hear me, it can still be cancelled. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1122 is now activated. Archangel Michael stands at the gate, sword drawn, decree in hand. He does not approach casually, nor speak in riddles. He has come with fire in his eyes and judgment on his tongue. The scrolls of heaven have been opened, the seals have been broken, and your name has been found in contention. Your identity is under review, not by heaven, but by hell. You stand in the eye of a spiritual dispute that most will never perceive, but you feel it. Your spirit has already sensed the warfare. Your bones have felt the tremble. This is not superstition. This is transaction. In the next 45 seconds, a record will be written. Not on paper, not in ink, but in eternity. Heaven records your alignment. The angels are not watching for movement. They are listening for silence. They are not searching your lips. They are weighing your posture. For Satan has appeared in a hidden courtroom and spoken your name as a claim. He did not ask for your body, nor your soul. He requested legal access to your identity. A spiritual impersonation, a counterfeit, a corrupted replica of what God declared over you before the foundation of the world. And in that moment, a sword was drawn. I am Michael, captain of the Lord's armies, and I was dispatched not to explain but to interrupt. I was not sent to negotiate, but to intervene. You are not reading this by accident. You are reading this because your name reached heaven before this message reached your screen. And in response, a decree was issued, and I was released. This message did not come to frighten you. This message comes to awaken you. Someone has tried to barter what God gave you freely. They tried to speak where God had sealed. But understand this, the spirit realm responds not to emotion, not to panic, not even to tears, but to alignment. If you are the one, you will feel the fire rising in your chest. Your eyes may sting with sudden awareness. Your breath may quicken. That is your spirit coming into remembrance. That is your spirit standing to attention. And now, in the silence of your agreement, heaven speaks, not with thunder but with stillness, not with noise but with weight. Listen closely, for what is said in this moment becomes a verdict in the realm beyond. You were not created to be traded. You were not called to be copied. Your name is written in a fire that cannot be forged, a signature that cannot be stolen. But access can be granted. When you move prematurely, speak emotionally, or war without orders. That is why you must understand, this battle is not yours. This is a courtroom engagement, a place where silence becomes a weapon, and posture becomes a verdict. Be still. Heaven is about to speak through you. Your silence is the sound of agreement with divine justice. Your stillness is the sound of reversal being released. Your peace is the roar that scatters demonic record keepers. This is not the time to fight. This is the time to align. The next 45 spiritual seconds determine what gets reversed, what gets sealed, and what gets renamed. Type "I align with heaven" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7707 is now enforced around you. You felt it, haven't you? The disruption beneath the surface, the invisible shaking behind the curtain of your calm, a strange restlessness that no doctor could name, a tension in your soul that no sleep could cure. What you've been carrying was never emotional, it was spiritual, and the warfare didn't start in your body or your mind. It began the moment your name was spoken in a place you weren't aware of, a place where your authority was studied, your identity mimicked, and your essence targeted. In the realm of spirit, names are more than syllables. They are sound codes, divine frequencies, keys that unlock realms, mantles, and thrones. And yours was overheard, whispered in darkness, studied by watchers, traced by unclean hands. There are entities who cannot create, only imitate. Spirits assigned not to destroy you outright, but to confuse the signature you carry so that heaven's doors mistake you for someone else, or worse, stay shut in silence. Someone has been watching your light, not to celebrate it, but to counterfeit it. They've seen your prayers, studied your rhythm, followed your movement. They have observed your highs and stalked your lows. They've come close enough to study your sound, but never close enough to understand your covenant. Because they know your name, but they do not know your covering. This is why you've been misunderstood without cause, pushed out without clarity, betrayed without reason. This is why certain relationships ended abruptly. Why some connections began with fire but ended in confusion. It wasn't them. It was the transaction hovering behind them, the attempt of hell to intercept what heaven had already placed on your life. Your calling has been resisted not because you were weak, but because you were marked. The tension you feel isn't insanity. It's revelation beginning to awaken. Your dreams have carried clues, strange names written on papers, voices calling out, hands reaching toward you, doors closing just before you entered. You've seen faces without names, heard names without faces. This is not coincidence. These are echoes of the unseen war where your name is being bartered in unauthorized trades. You are not going crazy. You are being summoned to awareness. You've asked yourself, why now? Why me? What did I do? And heaven answers, because I marked you before time. Because I called you before earth named you. Because your name is a weapon, and the enemy cannot afford for you to walk in it fully. You have not been under attack because you are weak. You have been under attack because you are next. This is not a punishment. This is proof. The pressure you feel is the sound of the counterfeit being exposed. The whisper about you in the dark, heaven heard it. And now, heaven has responded. You must understand, the enemy does not speak your name without reason. He only demands what he fears will soon take authority. And if your name was demanded in a spiritual trade, it is because your voice is rising in power. Your name has begun to stir rooms it hasn't entered yet. Your anointing has been smelled in hell before it has even been revealed on earth. And so now, you must do what very few know how to do. Be still, and let the courts of heaven complete what has been started. Your tears have been testimonies. Your confusion has been incense. And your silence will now be judgment. Something was whispered about you in the dark, and heaven heard it. Type I am chosen in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 666 is now surrounding you. If your spirit has been stirred, if this word has pierced a place no voice ever reached before, then you are not just a viewer. You are part of heaven's mission. Every time you sow into this message, you sow into souls. You ignite light where darkness has whispered. You fan the flames where names are being traded and destinies sabotaged. I feel led to tell you, your giving is a counterstrike. When you stand with us through Super Thanks, membership, or by sowing through PayPal link in the video description, you're not giving to a channel, you're funding a heavenly reversal. It's the oil behind the altar, the manna for those still wandering, the fire on the altar that never dies. God is saying, I will bless those who bless my work. Your gift is not a transaction. It is a divine agreement, a prophetic seeing, a name-protecting, chain-breaking act. Release it in faith. Seal your alignment. Strike back. So now, and heaven will remember your name. This is not personal. It was never personal. It has always been positional. The assault against you is not because of what you've done. It is because of where you were about to go. The war wasn't sent to destroy your faith, but to interrupt your rank. Hell saw the shift before you did. It saw your elevation, your approaching coronation, the divine announcement being drafted in the spirit. And in panic, it moved. Your name was not selected at random. It was identified as a threat. Because names are not just labels, they are spiritual locations. When spoken in the realm of the unseen, your name causes certain demon to scatter, certain chain to tremble, certain curses to unravel. But there was a plan, a spiritual trade attempt, not to remove your name entirely, but to exchange it, to replace clarity with confusion, to replace momentum with misdirection, to turn your spiritual name into a spiritual echo, still present, but out of alignment. And that is why Archangel Michael was sent, to intervene in an illegal exchange. Satan's demand was not just for your name, it was for your authority, your access, your inheritance. He wanted to speak your name where only heaven should have legal right to do so. But even in his cunning, even in his schemes, he overlooked one truth. You were already under surveillance. Not the surveillance of man, not the surveillance of fear, but the surveillance of the Holy Spirit, who hovered over your name before time even began. Every tactic formed against you was seen before it was spoken. The Spirit intercepted the whisper. The Spirit discerned the move. Before the first word was traded in the demonic courts, the decree from heaven was already being drafted. You are not unprotected. You are not exposed. You are not late. You are right on time, and heaven is at attention. But now hear this warning clearly. Your reaction is the doorway. Panic is the gate that gives the enemy permission to proceed. Fear is the language of forfeiture. Emotional reaction is the currency that finalizes the trade. But silence, holy, reverent, postured silence, cancels the enemy's authority to sign the transaction. The trade may have begun, but it is your stillness that denies the seal. You were not chosen to fight with your flesh. You were not called to war with your own understanding. You have been selected to stand still, not in weakness, but in divine legal authority. When you stop thrashing, heaven starts moving. When you silence the panic, the sound of angelic intervention becomes louder. This is not about resistance. This is about rulership. Heaven is not looking for your retaliation. It is looking for your alignment. For your name is not a sound of war. It is a banner of inheritance. You are not in this battle to prove yourself. You are in it to stand still while heaven proves itself through you. Your identity was attempted in a trade, but your posture now determines if the trade succeeds or is revoked. Refuse to panic. Refuse to explain. Refuse to chase. Stand in silence and let the courtroom of heaven deliver its verdict. You were not meant to negotiate with darkness. You were meant to be vindicated by light. You were chosen not to fight, but to stand still while heaven fights through you. Type "I stand still in power" in the comments if this word confirms your spirit. Blessing code 4444 has been assigned to your name. Hear me now. The trade table has already been set in the unseen realm. The negotiation has begun, and the spiritual transaction is unfolding even as you receive these words. Satan has made a demand, and the courts of darkness have responded swiftly. He has requested your name as leverage, as a legal right to disrupt what God has decreed for your next season. This is no longer a discussion. It is a confrontation between realms. The threat is not imaginary. It is imminent. There is a precise and prophetic time window now moving. Within 72 earthly hours, you will begin to see the ripple of this battle touch the edges of your physical life. Strange resistance, unexplained losses, sudden interruptions to your focus, your favor, and your faith. These are not coincidences. They are manifestations of a spiritual document being reviewed and tested in real time. And yet, the deal has not been sealed. Heaven has delayed the signature. The ink has not dried. Because your name carries too much weight. Because the blood over your life still speaks louder. Because your obedience in this moment is being used as legal evidence to overturn what the enemy initiated. This is not just warfare. This is divine litigation. And the court is still in session. Do you remember when you first began to feel drained without cause? When your spiritual clarity dimmed and your prayers seemed intercepted? When doubts crept into places you were once confident? That was not you backsliding. That was not weakness. That was evidence of interference. The enemy began writing on scrolls behind the scenes, and his aim was never to destroy your belief. It was to weaken your witness, to subtly replace your name with a counterfeit version, weary, discouraged, voiceless, ineffective. But hear this now, heaven is not silent because it is absent. Heaven is silent because it is investigating. When God does not speak, it is not because he has forgotten. It is because he is weighing, watching, gathering witness, building the case. He has delayed the judgment to give you the space to align. And now, the message is clear. The window is narrow. The moment is active. Do not move from where you've been told to stand. Do not respond out of fear. Do not chase the voices that mocked you, misunderstood you, or misused your name. Do not open your mouth to defend what heaven is about to vindicate. The enemy is hoping you will sabotage your own covering by stepping outside the boundaries of spiritual order. He is hoping your emotion will betray your authority. He is hoping your reaction will authorize the trade he is waiting to finalize. But heaven has not stopped watching. The angels are on assignment. And Archangel Michael stands ready, sword still drawn, decree still in hand, waiting for your next decision. There is no space for delay. There is no room for negotiation. The trade is in progress, but it is not complete. What happens now will determine if your true name is preserved, or if a counterfeit version will rise in your place. Remain still. Remain silent. Remain aligned. Because even now, the courtroom is shifting. Heaven is preparing its counteraction. Type "I cancel the trade" in the comments if you're aligned with this word. Lesson code 0007 is protecting you now. Be still now. Be still. For I, Michael, speak not from speculation but from spiritual command. I speak not with options, but with instructions written in fire. Heaven is preparing for war, but you are not the warrior. You are the territory. And the moment you rest, the battle begins. The moment you sit in divine silence, the angelic armies move in divine violence. You do not need to swing. You do not need to shout. You need to withdraw and listen. For the one who covers you does not require your defense, he requires your obedience. You have been surrounded by agitation. You have felt the pull to react, to explain, to correct, to confront. But this is the snare. This is the trap. The enemy has no power to force the trade, but he seeks your voice to approve it. He needs your emotional access. He needs your verbal cooperation. Every reckless word becomes an agreement. Every offended outburst becomes a spiritual co-signature on the enemy's paperwork. Cancel the conversation. Close your mouth. Let silence become your strongest protest. I declare this now. No weapon formed against your name shall prosper. Not a whisper in the dark. Not a curse in the wind. Not a forged signature in the invisible. Your name hath been written in the Lamb's book. It has been sealed with the Spirit's fire. It hath been hidden under the shadow of the Almighty. But even the most secured treasures must be protected in the moment of attack, not by striving, but by stillness. There is a command resting on your spirit now. Withdraw. Pull back from the noise. Retreat from the opinions. Step away from the distractions that demand your reaction. This is not avoidance. This is strategy. The lion does not roar at every sound. The eagle does not flap at every gust. Those who carry heavenly weight understand when to speak and when to be silent. And this is your silent season. Let your prayers be whispered. Let your confessions be clean. Say softly, but boldly, I revoke every unauthorized trade in my name. Speak it in faith. Speak it in surrender. Speak it with reverence, for heaven hears in silence what hell demands in noise. Every whispered prayer becomes a legal override in the spirit. Every soft agreement with God becomes a locked gate the enemy cannot trespass. You are not weak for being still. You are dangerous. Because rest in the will of God is more destructive to the enemy than rage in the flesh. When you rest, Michael wars. When you retreat, the heavenly armies advance. When you step back, the fire of God steps forward. Peace is your protest. Calm is your cancellation. Stillness is your strength. The enemy has been loud, but the judge hath been listening. Let your quiet become a gavel in the unseen realm. Let your silence become the thunder of reversal. You are not being ignored. You are being defended. And even now, as you quiet your mind and bow your spirit, I hear the command in the heavenlies, hold the line. The trade is being overturned. Stay in this posture. Stay in this stillness. Stay in this seal. The enemy will not win. Type I am shielded by heaven in the comments to confirm your alignment. Blessing code 3333 is now resting upon your household. You are not the same vessel that entered this storm. No, you are not the same name that the enemy tried to bargain for. Something happened the moment you chose stillness over retaliation. The moment you stood in surrender instead of striving, heaven moved in your defense, and you shifted from being a target to becoming a throne. Hear me now, beloved. This is your turning point. They demanded your name, but heaven is now renaming you in power. The identity that the enemy tried to intercept is being rewritten, not by men, not by systems, not by accusations, but by the voice of the Ancient of Days. A name, your name, is being written in fire. You are not merely recovering, you are being recommissioned. The garments of warfare are coming off, and the mantle of rulership is descending. You no longer stand accused. You stand anointed. Like fire refines gold, the opposition didn't diminish you. It revealed your value. The attempted trade exposed how rare you are. The pressure unveiled how costly your call is. And now that the false claims have been exposed, the Spirit of God is stamping you with a new authority, one that cannot be copied, corrupted, or counterfeited. You are not just protected, you are now being positioned. Every attack was proof of your proximity to elevation. The resistance was a signal of your readiness. What the enemy tried to use to derail you has now become the platform God is using to announce you. You are stepping from defense into dominion, from silence into strategy, from vulnerability into victory. And you're not just walking, you are ascending. You were never meant to stay in survival mode. The battle was only to reveal your birthright. And now, you wear it like a robe. You carry it like a crown. The enemy tried to clone your calling, but heaven has upgraded your identity. You are not a shadow, you are a son. You are not a napkin, you are an oracle. You are not overlooked, you are overthrown in warfare and standing in glory. This shift is not subtle, it is sovereign. The heavens have moved. The courtroom has ruled. The scroll has been rewritten. And on it is not just your old name preserved, it is your new name empowered. You now carry heaven's signature. You now bear the weight of a divine decree, and no counterfeit can stand in your presence. The same forces that studied you will now flee from you. The same voices that mimicked you will now be silenced by you. You are no longer waiting to be recognized. You are now authorized to reign. No demonic transaction can reverse what had been revealed. No spiritual impersonation can stand against the seal that has now been placed upon you. The name they tried to trade hath been elevated. The version they tried to imitate has been anointed. You are rising in glory. You are rising in clarity. You are rising in covenant. You were not overlooked. You were preserved for this moment of manifestation. Type I rise in authority in the comments if this word resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 8181 is now crowning you. Now hear the deeper mystery revealed. The mystery behind your tears, your restlessness, your interruption. This was not punishment. This was proof. What you've endured, what has stalked your name in silence, what hovered over your dreams and crept into your waking hours, all of it was heaven allowing you to see the true weight of your calling. The attack was not designed to disqualify you. It was designed to reveal you. The enemy does not demand the names of the casual. He demands the names of the consecrated. He does not study the ones wandering in confusion. He targets the ones rising in revelation. Satan knew something was coming. He knew your name was gaining attention in heaven. He knew your identity was beginning to ripple through realms. And so, he demanded access to interrupt it, to forge a delay, to fabricate confusion, to execute a counterfeit plan. But he was too late. What he did not realize is that heaven was using this confrontation as a divine announcement. You were not being exposed to shame. You were being unveiled in power. What looked like weakness, God was using as a witness. What felt like isolation, heaven was using as activation. The Spirit of God allowed you to be aware of the war so that you could become anchored in your authority. This trial was not your breaking, it was your birthing. Listen now, your name has not only been preserved, it hath been written in light. And that light is not symbolic. It is legal, eternal, and seen in the courts where thrones speak and destinies unfold. Your name is now marked for increase, not exchange. It has been refiled in heaven's archives, not in the section of delay, but in the scrolls of divine dominion. What was attempted has now backfired, and in doing so, heaven has placed acceleration where the enemy tried to put interruption. There are those who have tried to trace your footsteps, but couldn't follow the fire. They tried to wear your sound, but couldn't carry your substance. That's because the weight of your calling is not cosmetic, it is consecrated. You were never called to blend in. You were called to distinguish the divine. That's why you were tested the way you were. That's why the enemy demanded your name, because he feared your next level would shake regions. And he was right. You are no longer in delay. You are no longer under review. You are no longer at risk. The trade has failed. The fraud has been exposed. The scroll has been unsealed. And your next chapter begins now. Not in fear, but in fire. This is your unlocking. This is your unveiling. This is the moment where your true identity activates. What was concealed is now confirmed. What was whispered is now being declared. Type "My name is written in light" in the comments to receive this prophetic word. Blessing code 1919 is now inscribed on your next season. As your name is being restored in light, as heaven confirms what the enemy tried to counterfeit, I invite you, not just to receive this word, but to become part of the divine reversal movement. Every super thanks, every membership, every seed sown through PayPal link in the description is a strike against spiritual silence. It is manna for someone else's wilderness, oil for someone else's war, light in another soul's courtroom. I feel the urgency in this moment, not to ask, but to release. God is saying, as you honor my word, I will honor your name. Your giving isn't just support, it's a prophetic alignment. Response that echoes louder than fear. A spiritual act that says, I believe in the fire that just baptized my identity. Heaven is watching. The same angels assigned to overturn your case are standing over your offering. Let it be holy. Let it be instant. Let it be remembered. So now, stand now. Strike back. Heaven knows your name. Let your giving declare it too. Now that the trade has been overturned, now that the courtroom has ruled in your favor, now that your name has been sealed in the light of divine order, heaven is waiting on one more sound. Your voice. Not the voice of confusion. Not the voice of fear. Not the voice of reaction. But the voice of alignment. For destiny is not just something that happens to you. It is something that responds to your declaration. It waits. It listens. And it obeys the sound of a name spoken in agreement with heaven's record. Say this now, out loud if you can, softly if you must, but boldly in spirit. My name is sealed in divine order. Say it again, not for repetition, but for recognition. You must understand. There are spiritual baits that only open when the name heaven gave you is declared in agreement with heaven's plan. The counterfeit tried to rename you with weariness, tried to rename you with failure, tried to rename you with abandonment and obscurity. But now, you speak what heaven wrote, and that sound rewrites everything. There is power in your decree. There is alignment in your voice. Heaven is no longer resisting your access. It is waiting on your activation. The angels have been dispatched. The name has been sealed. The reversal is in motion. But now, it is time for you to rise with awareness, to walk not as one who escaped barely, but as one who had been authorized to legislate. Lay out your journal. Write the date. Mark this hour. Document this moment, not because you need to remember, but because your future generations will look back at this as the day the curse was broken, the day the silence was overturned, the day the inheritance was reestablished. This is no longer spiritual survival. This is spiritual succession. Your bloodline has shifted because you decreed the original name back into the atmosphere. And now, decree again. I walk in the identity heaven gave me. No longer will you answer to false versions of yourself. No longer will you shrink to make others comfortable with their confusion. No longer will you question what God confirmed before you were ever born. You are not just someone with purpose. You are a voice with jurisdiction. The heavens are waiting on your yes, not your fear. They are waiting on your alignment, not your excuses. You do not need to feel qualified. You need to feel submitted. The anointing flows not from the proud, but from the positioned. And today, your positioning has shifted from the traded to the trusted, from the accused to the assigned, from the silenced to the sent. Open your mouth in prayer. Release the word. Command your atmosphere. Say it again and again until your soul stops flinching and your spirit stands in full agreement. My name is sealed. My assignment is alive. My voice is authorized. Because when you speak what heaven has written, the earth must align. The winds must carry your word. The doors must respond. The enemies must fall. And the false names once whispered about you, they must vanish like smoke. Your destiny is not delayed. It is not denied. It is waiting on your agreement. Now rise. Now speak. Now walk. Your voice reclaims what the enemy tried to rename. Type "My destiny is unlocked" in the comments if this word confirms your shift. Blessing code 5555 is unlocking doors now standing before you. There is a holy silence hovering now, not the silence of abandonment, but the silence of transaction. A sacred hush that settles when divine scribes take their seats. You may not hear it in the natural, but in the spirit realm, something is happening that cannot be undone. While you rest, while you breathe, while you wait without understanding, heaven is moving in your name. There is an exchange occurring without your effort. Not because of your striving, not because of your tears alone, but because of your alignment. The moment you stood still, the moment you canceled the trade, the moment you returned your name to divine order, the archives of heaven were stirred, the scrolls were pulled, and the false documents, the forged decrees, the counterfeit covenants, they are now being overwritten by light. Yes, there were documents, demonic ones, invisible to your eyes but binding in spirit, agreements made in darkness, swaps initiated in shadowy places. Your name was placed on a counterfeit altar, not to kill you, but to confuse the path assigned to you. But even as they were signing, the Spirit of the Lord was moving, slowly, silently, like the wind that split the Red Sea, and he began reclaiming what was stolen. Your name, your destiny, your inheritance, every part of your identity that was falsely handled is being refiled correctly in the records of heaven. Your original sound is being restored. Your spiritual DNA is being realigned. What was lost is not lost. It was temporarily mishandled, and now, by heaven's own decree, it is being transferred back into your rightful possession. You may not feel it yet. That's because the spirit realm always moves first. But your spirit has already sensed it, that shift you couldn't explain, that peace that fell out of nowhere, that sudden awareness that you are no longer fighting. These are the signs that the exchange is happening. That heaven has opened your case, that the blood of Jesus has spoken again, that angels are carrying scrolls back to where they belong. This is not imagination. This is not spiritual poetry. This is divine administration. The court of heaven is not emotional. It is precise. And right now, precision is working in your favor. The system of the Spirit is flawless. Your cry was registered. Your stillness was recorded. Your silence was received as submission. And that submission authorized the angels to move. While you sleep, heaven speaks. While you cry, heaven records. While you sit still, heaven reestablishes your throne. The voices that once accused you are now silenced. The watchers who tried to duplicate you are now blind to your movement. The demons who whispered your name are now forbidden from access. What they tried to do in secret, God is reversing in silence. Without a spectacle, without noise, without needing your help. You don't need to fight anymore. The sword is in the hand of the righteous. The courtroom has shifted. The judge has ruled. The light has spoken louder than the counterfeit ever could. Let your soul rest now. Let your spirit be still. You are not losing anything. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are being restored in the place where identity is traded and thrones are established. Nothing was lost. It was being transferred back divinely. Type heaven is reclaiming my name in the comments if you feel the silent shift. Blessing code 1230 is now in motion on your behalf. The scales have tipped. The gavel has fallen. The courtroom has ruled in your favor, not because of your eloquence, not because of your perfection, but because of your alignment with righteousness. Justice is not coming. Justice is here, and it is divine, deliberate, and irreversible. What was set in motion in secret has now been judged in the light. What was whispered about you in darkness is now being used as evidence to exalt you. Make no mistake, the enemy will regret he ever mentioned your name. Every accusation has become fuel for vindication. Every false trade attempted with your identity has now triggered a supernatural reversal that even hell cannot interrupt. The same pit they dug for your name is the place where their plans will be buried. The shame they tried to assign to you is being turned into public honor. Not for your ego, but for God's glory. Every curse is returning to its sender. Not in Vendis, what in Yadud. Not because you demanded revenge, but because heaven demanded balance. The Lord your God is a righteous judge, and where he sees fraudulent activity, he does not ignore it. He exposes it. Every false word spoken about you is now turning into a weapon against the mouths that formed it. Every delay you endured is being exchanged for divine acceleration. Every door that was shut in your face will now swing open, not just in welcome, but in recognition of your authority. The enemy overplayed his hand. He thought this battle would silence you. He thought this trial would erase you. But what he didn't understand was that your obedience would unlock heaven's courtroom. Your surrender summoned the fire of justice, and now the heavens have ruled. You are cleared, you are restored, and you are renamed. They tried to rename you as forgotten, but heaven now calls you first in line. They tried to label you as unworthy, but God has remarked you as royal inheritance. They tried to bury your sound, but the King has amplified your voice across dimensions. And now, your eyes will see what your spirit already knew, that God keeps perfect records, that he does not let the righteous fall into the hands of mockery, that he does not allow names sealed by his blood to be bartered by demonic schemes. And he watches, he waits, and then he reverses everything. Expect to see it, not in distant time, but in this season. You will witness the turnaround, not through striving, but through peace, not through vengeance, but through vindication. Those who misunderstood you will marvel. Those who overlooked you will now request your wisdom. Those who doubted you will have no words when the reversal makes its way into the physical. This reversal is not just for you. It is generational. It will touch your lineage. It will clear your children's path. It will cancel word curses spoken years ago. It will nullify demonic timelines that were scheduled for your life. What you broke in the spirit has now broken every demonic appointment made in secret. God balances the scales, and what was stolen shall be repaid with interest. Not because you demanded it, but because justice demands it. So, let the record show, the heavens have ruled. The court is closed. The verdict is final. You are cleared. You are restored. You are renamed. Type I receive divine justice in the comments if this word has confirmed your turnaround. Blessing code 7722 is now writing your records in heaven. Is finished. The trade has been cancelled. The false documents have been burned. The counterfeit signatures have been revoked. And your name, yes, your name, is now sealed in divine fire. What the enemy demanded hath been denied. What darkness pursued has been blocked. And what once trembled in silence has now been restored in light. Archangel Michael now sheathes his sword, for the battle has been completed in your favor. The courtroom of heaven is silent, not with uncertainty, but with finality. There are no more accusations echoing your name. There are no more hands stretched toward your calling. There are no more shadows tracing your footsteps. What once threatened to undo your destiny has now become the backdrop for your unveiling. May your silence remain your strength. May your peace remain your shield. You are covered, not just in mercy, but in royal decree. Your life is no longer under the influence of unseen accusations. You are no longer being watched by the eyes of imitation. Your sound is not being stolen. Your oil is no longer accessible to those who tried to purchase it without covenant. You are sealed. You are known. You are carried in divine light. Let heaven's final word be spoken over you now. You are sealed, seen, and sent. The 45 seconds have passed. The decision has been made, and heaven chose you. Now rise. Rise not in fear, but in fire. Rise with the knowledge that what was stolen is returned sevenfold. Rise with the boldness of one whose name has been etched into eternity, untouched by time or trials. This is your new beginning. Type "Heaven has chosen me" in the comments if this word has sealed something within you. Blessing code 9999 is now closing every illegal gate once opened against you. As this prophetic word comes to a close, don't let your agreement stay silent. Heaven has chosen you, and if this message marked you, then you know this isn't just content, it's confirmation. Every gift you release, whether through Super Thanks, YouTube membership, or PayPal link in the video description, becomes a seed of holy reversal for someone else. You're not giving to a channel. You're sowing into a move of God. I feel led to say this boldly. Your giving speaks louder than your warfare. It builds the altar where others will find their nay restored. It oils the gates where the next soul escapes delay. It's not a donation. It's a divine partnership with the word you just received. The fire you received today, help us send it to another soul still standing in silence. Honor the word. Respond in faith. Let your offering become an echo in the spirit realm that says, I believe, I stand, I align. So now, strike back with purpose. Let your giving be your yes.